Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. So, guys, Vergil Ortiz is he's broke the internet, broke the boxing internet. Everyone's talking about Vergil Ortiz, and a lot of people think Vergil Ortiz is the next future star. And he is. There's no doubt about it. Vergil Ortiz has got a lot going for him. He's a special fighter, but now people are starting to talk about him fighting the elite, fighting your Terence Crawford, and that's a fight that obviously Oscar De La Hoya tweeted right after the fight that, does anyone want to see Terence Crawford, Vergil Ortiz? Absolutely. I want to see that fight because I saw a fight between Vergil Ortiz and Maurice Hooker, and I thought, you know what? This guy, he was being outboxed there at times against Hooker, but he just destroyed Hooker. He was too big, too strong, and he ended up getting to Hooker. But I actually saw yesterday, I think Ortiz is a lot more intelligent. I think he's a better boxer than I thought. He's still not nowhere near the level of Bud Crawford in terms of boxing ability. But here's the thing, what I would think would make that fight very interesting. Firstly, I think Ortiz is a top welterweight, and I think he would beat Danny Garcia. I think he would beat Sean Porter, and I even think he would beat Keith Thurman. And a lot of people, someone said to me, "No, Imran, I think you're right about him beating Garcia and Sean Porter, but I don't think he would beat Keith Thurman." I disagree. Thurman was hurt badly against Lopez, and he was hurt badly against Manny Pacquiao. Obviously, Manny Pacquiao, great fighter, dangerous fighter. There's no shame in being hurt by Pacquiao. But Lopez, who is a good fighter as well, really wobbled Thurman, had him out of there. And no disrespect to Josecito Lopez, he isn't as good a fighter as Vergil Ortiz at this point. Here's the problem with Thurman. Thurman's a good boxer, and he may be able to outbox Vergil Ortiz, but here's the problem. Vergil Ortiz is so powerful. He's so fast. He's so strong, right? He would get to Thurman. Somewhere in the fight, he's going to get to his body. He's going to get upstairs. Thurman ain't going to be able to handle that kind of pressure. And also what Vergil showed, he's got a good chin. So do you really think Thurman's going to be able to handle that pressure after seeing the Lopez fight, after seeing the Pacquiao fight? Remember, Vergil Ortiz is a big welterweight, just like Keith Thurman. He's not a small welterweight. So Thurman hasn't got a size advantage over him. That's a horrible fight for Keith Thurman at this point. Maybe the Thurman that beat Danny Garcia beats Vergil Ortiz. And even that, you couldn't say, because even that Thurman was vulnerable. But this Vergil Ortiz right now against this current Thurman who's inactive, who didn't look great in his last two fights, look good against Pacquiao, but let's not forget that was an old Pacquiao, not the Pacquiao in his prime. Or prime Pacquiao would have taken him apart. So right now, I believe Vergil Ortiz beats Keith Thurman. I would favor him heavily to beat Keith Thurman. I don't think Keith Thurman will be able to keep that pressure off. I think Vergil Ortiz is too strong. He punches too hard. That relentless pressure, that punching power, Thurman ain't going to want to go near Vergil Ortiz. You know, Thurman's going to be looking for the big fights, and that's it. He's not going to go anywhere near Vergil Ortiz. No way. I don't see it. And if he does, I'd give him a lot of credit and a lot of respect, but I don't see him going near that guy. That guy's a monster. Let's be honest. No one, unless he becomes mandatory for like a titles, is going to want to go near that guy because he is dangerous. He is dangerous. And like I said, he's a lot better boxer than I gave him credit for. And he's a vicious puncher, and he's relentless. And he likes to have a tear-up. He thrives in that situation. Now, Terence Crawford isn't a big welterweight. However, Terence Crawford's boxing ability is a problem for Vergil Ortiz. However, Vergil Ortiz's strength is a problem for Terence Crawford, because I don't know whether Terence Crawford will be able to keep someone like Vergil Ortiz off of him. You know, that big, strong welterweight coming forward, ripping those body shots, ripping those shots, big, heavy shots. I think that's a big problem. Now, Terence Crawford is a great boxer, but Vergil Ortiz might not have the boxing ability, but he has the size, strength, power, and he has good boxing ability. A lot more intelligent than I thought. So that's what makes that fight very interesting. Also, Terence Crawford gets hit. And Terence Crawford is vulnerable. And when I mean vulnerable, I don't mean like vulnerable where he's chinny or nothing. No, he's good, but he's vulnerable in the sense that he likes to trade. And if he's trading against these big welterweights, big strong welterweights that can punch, you know, anything's possible. I do think Vergil Ortiz has the power to hurt Terence Crawford. That would be a very, very hard fight. Believe you me, I know a lot of people would side with Crawford, and I would slightly favor Crawford on points. But the way Vergil wins this fight, he'd have to knock Crawford out. If this fight goes 12 rounds, he ain't winning a decision. He'd have to knock, Vergil Ortiz would have to knock Terence Crawford out to beat him. He won't be able to win a decision. If Terence Crawford goes 12 rounds with Vergil Ortiz, and who knows, Crawford could stop Ortiz, who knows? You know, maybe Crawford, I'm still not sure about Crawford's punching power at welterweight against the big, strong welterweights, you know. I'm still not sure whether he's a massive puncher, if I'm totally honest with you. So I honestly think that would be a great fight. Initially, I didn't think so. But after watching Vergil Ortiz, man, that guy can fight. He can fight. I'm talking, that guy is a beast. So I would really love to see that fight. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I would love to see that fight. I think that's a dynamite fight. I do. Initially, when I saw Vergil against Hooker, I thought, nah, he ain't got no chance. He ain't got no chance. But after watching what I saw last night, I'm interested in that fight. I think that would be a very, very good fight, and potentially a dangerous fight for Terence Crawford. It's a dangerous fight for Terence Crawford. It's definitely a dangerous fight. There's no doubt about it. Vergil Ortiz is a dangerous fight for Terence Crawford. And I don't want to hear anything else. Vergil Ortiz is a beast. He's a beast, and I'm a big fan of that kid, man. He's a beast. Beast. He's confident. He's strong. He can trade. He's a good boxer, intelligent boxer. Again, like I said, he's not as good a boxer as Terence Crawford. So if the fight goes the decision, I'd favor Crawford. And also Crawford would have probably figured him out and probably solved the puzzle by then. And I believe Vergil Ortiz would have to stop. He'd have to knock Crawford out to win that fight, I think. And he could. This is what I mean. He could, because Vergil Ortiz is a monster. That this guy's no joke. This guy's relentless, strong, fit guy. You know, he's a problem. He is a problem for any welterweight. I'm telling you. That relentless pressure, that punching power, those combination punches, he's a problem. And you know what? When I saw him fight Hooker, he threw a lot of shots. He was throwing a lot of shots because he didn't care about what was coming back. He didn't care what was coming back from Hooker. But if you look at yesterday's performance, he was a lot more measured. He was a lot more disciplined. He was a lot more smart because he knew Igor Kavalauskas can punch. And he knew that if he goes all gun leather, he could get hurt. And that's why you saw him, especially after the second round, take his time. In the second round, he went for it and he got caught with a massive uppercut. And Kavalauskas jumped on it. He realized this guy can punch. But the way he composed himself, the way he got himself back together, and then dismantled Kavalauskas, wow. That was a phenomenal performance. What you got to understand is Igor Kavalauskas is a very good fighter. Very, very strong. He punches hard. He's a very, very, very good fighter, Kavalauskas. And sometimes you get these guys, they're unknown, like Kavalauskas. And this is what when he fought Crawford, everyone was like, who is he fighting? Even I was one of those guys. But when you research into it, you look at his pedigree, you look at what he's done, you look at some of his fights, you watch tape, and you realize that this guy is a very good fighter. And he showed that in the Crawford fight, and he showed that yesterday. You know, he was live in there at all times. He's got punching power. He hurt Vergil Ortiz in that second round badly, but the way Vergil was able to compose himself, you know, get himself together, and then just dismantle Igor Kavalauskas, man, that boy's a serious talent, man. He's a serious talent. Serious talent. He's going to go a long way. And like I said, I think he's going to become world champion. No doubt about it. And I would even go as far as saying that fights with Crawford, Spence, he could win those fights. Because how aggressive he is, how dangerous he is, he's a problem for anybody. Like I said, I would love to see the Crawford fight. And I think the reason why Vergil Ortiz is calling out Crawford is because he also sees that this guy's a small welterweight. Will he be able to take my strength, size, power, like all of that will be a problem for Crawford, because Crawford isn't as big as Ortiz. Now, he's the better boxer, but I don't know how he handles that kind of pressure. I don't know how he handles that kind of punching power at welterweight against someone that big, that strong. Because Vergil Ortiz is big and strong, and he's a better boxer than we gave him credit for. He can box, punches hard. That's a tough fight, man. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. That's a tough fight for Terence Crawford. But again, the way Vergil would have to beat Crawford is by knocking him out. He's not gonna beat Terence Crawford on points. Because if Crawford figures a way out to defuse him and take it to points, Crawford would have won majority of the rounds because he's the better boxer. I believe Vergil Ortiz would have to knock him out. He'd have to stop him. He'd have to knock Crawford out for me. And which is a possible, like I said, Vergil Ortiz is a good boxer. He can punch. He's strong. He's relentless, right? He's got a good chin. There's a listen, that's a hard fight for Crawford. You know, that's a hard fight because I don't see Crawford stop it. Especially early in that fight. I think Ortiz has got a good chin. And like I said, there's still a question mark for me of Crawford's punching power at welterweight. Even though he stopped all the welterweights, he hasn't really fought the top level guys. So if he stops a Porter, who he's scheduled to fight next, then obviously, you know, you have to take his punching power seriously. But right now, you'd have to say he hasn't really stopped the top welterweight where we can say, you know, oh, well, he's stopping these guys at welterweight. Yeah, he's stopping guys that, you know, two of the best welterweights he fought in Khan and Brook were kind of past their best. So it's kind of hard to say who's he, you know, Horn, yeah, he's a tough guy, rugged guy, and he stopped him, but he outclassed him. But still, you know, Kavialauskas, he stopped him, but now Vergil Ortiz has stopped him. So personally, honestly, I want to see the Crawford Ortiz fight. I think it's a proper fight. You know, that would really get me excited. That would really get me. And I would go as far as saying, although Sean Porter's more accomplished than Vergil Ortiz, I actually think it's a better fight than Porter. I actually think Vergil Ortiz would beat Porter. I want to see that fight more, if I'm totally honest with you. Because I don't think Porter has punching power. Porter mauls you, and Porter's strong and physical, but Vergil Ortiz can do that. But Vergil Ortiz is, firstly, he's more technically sound than Porter. Secondly, he punches harder than Porter. I think it's a tougher fight, personally. I think it's a much tougher fight than the Porter fight. But what would you rather see? Porter v Terence Crawford or Vergil Ortiz? Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.